Let's continue with our series of videos on building a keyword framework with TestComplete. We're going to walk through this 12-step build process together. If you want the step-by-step PDF guide, then click the link below and we'll send you a copy. Or email us at hello@testmanagement.com. This 12-step process then, quick overview. First, create the new project, add the new folder structure, add the project variables, and then create some browser utility scripts. Step 5, create the execution plan, create a folder for each page that we're going to interact with. Then we create some keyword functions for each page. We record and edit each of those keyword functions. Step 9, creating the tests, add the tests to the execution plan, and then build everything out by adding more pages, more functions on the pages, more tests, and building out the execution plan. And then, as we continue to build, we refactor as and when necessary. Let's get started then. Step 1, create the new project. So I'm assuming you've started out with an empty project suite, and we need to create a new project within this project suite. You can accept the defaults, project name you can tweak if you like, but you need to make sure that you select the language that you might prefer to code in. We will be doing a tiny bit of coding in this, so if you prefer Python or JavaScript, select one of those. But absolutely essential you make sure that this use XPath and CSS selectors for web objects is selected, and then create finish to create your new project. Step 2 then, we need to add the folder structure. 4 folders, one to contain our scripts for our pages, one for components, tests and utilities. So on the keyword test section, we need to add new folder. And we'll add 4 new folders. Third and the fourth, and then we'll rename those folders. So we'll have components, we'll have pages, we'll have a folder for our tests, and then we'll have a folder for any utility scripts that we need to write. Things like starting browsers, closing browsers, etc. I would also recommend perhaps creating a 5th folder, and this will be utility common, and this will contain scripts that you may use across multiple project suites and projects. So these will be specific to this project, and these will be specific to other projects, this project, other project suites. So that's our folder structure built out. The next step then. Step 3, we need to add some project variables. So in TestComplete, double click on the project node. We're on the variables tab, and we want to add some persistent variables. We need to add 3 initially, and that will be the URL that we want to be navigating to and running our tests against. And we will be using the web orders demo app from SmartBear that's provided as part of the TestComplete package, and you can navigate to that page using this URL here, secure smartbearsoftware.com samples TestComplete 15 web orders. We're going to copy that URL, we're going to add that as a default value and the local value in our variables. Second variable, password, and we'll make that a variable type of password so that it's encrypted. And the password is, if you go to the web orders page and log out, we'll go to the login page. The username and the password is tester and test. I'll put test in there. Make sure that's set as well. And then the final one is the user, and the user will be a string, and that is tester. That's step 3 completed. Step 4 then, let's create some browser utility scripts to start Edge, stop Edge and navigate in Edge. I'm using Edge in my framework, but you can use Chrome or whichever browser you need. So in Utilities Common, because I see these start browser scripts and stop browser scripts as utilities that can be used across projects and across project suites. So add a new item in Utilities Common and we'll call this Edge Start. And we'll create 3 scripts in here. We'll add another 2. So the next one will be Edge Stop. And then one final script we need to add is the navigation script. So for this one, we'll call this Edge Nav. Now all we need to do is create the test steps or the test items for each of these. So Edge navigation. So all we want to do is drag on the navigate test item, and we'll use that Edge setting, and I'm actually going to put the URL in here at the moment. So we've already configured this as a project variable, so we can take that as a variable, and the value, which we did in the previous step, will be the URL. Okay, so that's the navigate test. Then we want the start Edge test, so that's just simple run browser, run Edge, and then we've got the stop Edge, and for this we will record the process of stopping or closing Edge. So what I'm going to actually do is start Edge by running this particular test so that I have Edge running, and because there is no dedicated operation for stopping Edge, what we're going to do, we've started Edge, is I'm going to record the step of closing Edge. Okay, so record test step, record, menu is running, record the step closing Edge, click stop, and now I have 3 test utilities for interacting with Edge. One to navigate, one to start, and one to stop Edge. So next stage then, or the next step in this process, is to add these to the execution plan. Step 5 then, let's start building out that execution plan. We have 3 keyword tests that we've written already, so we can start to build out the execution plan. Very simple at the moment, but this is the whole concept of this framework. We build out little scripts and then we drag those in and reuse them on the execution plan. So at this stage, start Edge, navigate on Edge, and then stop Edge. And we should be able to test that by simply running the project itself, and that should start, navigate, and stop Edge. Perfect. Step 6 then, we want to create a folder for each page. And the concept behind this is that when you log into this application, there are a number of pages, and we want to organize neatly the scripts for each page. So we will have a number of scripts to interact with functionality on the web orders page. We want a number of scripts to interact with the products page, and a number of scripts to interact with the orders page. And we want to group them logically in TestComplete by using a folder structure. So in TestComplete, under our pages folder, what we'll do is we're going to add some new folders, and we'll add 4 folders to start with, and we'll name these folders after each page in the application. Okay, so the first one will be the home page, where we do the login, and then we've got the orders page, and then we've got the view all orders page, and then we've got the view all products page. We're also going to add one other folder, and this is going to be called the the base page. And the concept here is that any functionality that's common between pages will live as a script in the base page folder. And this is similar to the scripted page object model frameworks you'll see, but it's a useful way to group common scripts or functions that we're going to need so that we don't duplicate them across multiple pages. Step 7 then, I want to start creating keyword functions for each page. So in TestComplete, we have these folders that represent the pages, and in here we'll create functions that will carry out actions on these pages, and they'll be split into logical functional areas. So for the home page, I might want home page nav2, so we want to navigate to the home page, and on the home page we'll also create another function which will be home page login. And initially you might think you want to add home page logout, but the logout function is on all of the pages, even once you've logged in, so we'll add that to the base page because it's common across multiple pages. So we'll call that the base page log out. And once we've created those scripts, it's just a question of recording them or building them out with the operations. So for example, home page navigate to, we just drag the navigate function on. We want to select current browser so that it picks up whichever browser we started running the test with, which will be Edge in this instance. And if we select current browser, if we change those to Chrome later on, these scripts will run with Chrome as well. Again, we're going to use the URL that we set as a project variable. So mode variable, and we created this project variable back on step 2 or 3, I think. URL, because that's the login page. So that's our navigate test, which actually should be in the navigate script. So I'm just going to quickly cut that from there and put that on the nav2 page. All right, so that's the navigate to, just with the navigate operation. We then need to run the login script. Okay, so if I double click on home page login, I'll record this against the login page. So I'll double click on there, and the login is tester, and then the password is test. Now I do one of two things here with these text boxes. Either double click so that it selects everything, and then whatever we type in overwrites, or we can use Control A and then type to make sure that we clear or remove any text already in there that might be in there. Then we click the login button to complete the recording, and after a number of steps that we've recorded and we've completed that action, it's always good practice to add a checkpoint just to make sure that we are on the right page and that the steps have completed correctly. So I'm going to drag that across to web orders. So this checkpoint will just make sure that we've logged in correctly. So that's the object we want to check, and then we want to check a property of that object, and it's already picked up content text web orders, so that'll be just perfect. Stop the recording, and then we need to tidy up this script. So TestComplete would have added some steps in there we don't need. So we don't need the navigate because we already have a navigate to function, so we can delete that step. I don't need to position the browser window. We're on the page. Double click in that box, remove the click, type in tester, then we click on the password box. I think we can delete that step, and then we type in test. Well, actually that's the password. We'll come back and update those with variables in a minute. Double click. So that was me demonstrating a bit of functionality. So double click the username box, type in username. Double click the password box. I'll press Control A to select all, type in the password test, click the button, property checkpoint. Now both of these values we set up as project variables at the start, back on step 2 or 3, so rather than hard code those values, we will add project variables, and we set up the username. Okay, and let's do the same for the password. So I'll edit that value, change that from a hard-coded value to a variable, and select the value, the variable that we created, which was password. Okay, so that is our login script for the home page. And once we've logged in, we do the checkpoint. The only thing we have to do now is create the log out. And again, if we go to the base page log out, we'll do record test script. And on the web orders page, if that was expanded across the whole desktop, we'll see the log out. So all we want to do is record the log out action and then add a checkpoint to make sure that completed correctly. So text or property we'll check, select an object, and we'll make sure we're on the login page by checking for this text. There we go, content text in order to log in. So that is our checkpoint to confirm the logout completed correctly. Click stop, and then all we need to do is tidy up the base page. Well, we don't need to navigate because we're already been navigating there. I don't need to position the window, don't need to drag the window. All I want to make sure is that I click on the logout link and then I run the property checkpoint to make sure the logout completed correctly. Step 8 then, record and edit each keyword function. And this is all this framework is about, is starting to build out all of those functions for each of the page that our tests will utilize. So we've created some functions for the home page, and maybe now we need to build out the orders page. So I can add another few test functions in here. So orders or order page, enter address info, and orders page, enter orders page, enter payment info. And if we look at the orders page itself, what I'm trying to do is build out functions for these pieces of functionality, the individual pieces of functionality on the page. So we've got product information script we want to create, an address information script we want to create, and a payment information, and then the process bit. So that's what I'm building out, and it's a mapping in here: orders page address info, enter payment info, and the last one I want in here is to orders page, enter product info. Okay, so those are the 3 bits of functionality on that page, all represented by 3 scripts. I will add one final one, and that's the function to navigate to that page. And like I say, we've got these navigate functions in every page folder that we're creating, and we will, when we refactor things later, pull this navigation functionality out onto perhaps the base page or the components. So now I want to enter the address information, so I'll record this script, record that, enter address info. So recording bar's running, select customer name, customer 1, street 1, city, bear with me whilst I do this, state 1, and then the zip code, whatever we want to put in there. Okay, and stop that recording. Then we tidy up this recording script, and then we'll add parameters so that we can data drive this particular function when we need to. So again, we don't need to navigate to because we can create a function specifically for that. Don't need to position the window. I want to click on that. So that's entering the customer name. I'll tidy this up. And street 1. Well, what I actually want to do, rather than have these hard coded, is to parameterize the test so that we can feed in different data sets when we need it. So on the parameters tab, create add parameter. So this will be custom name, and I'll put a default value in there of customer 1, and then we'll have street in the test steps so that we haven't got anything hard coded. So rather than have the hard coded value there, we edit this and we select from here parameters rather than the constant or the hard coded value. So test parameter, customer name. Okay. And I'd go through that and I'd update that on each of these so that I've got all of those parameterized. Mode, test parameter, value, street. That's right. Was the street one, wasn't it? Yep. Okay, and I do that for all of those so that all of those are set to use the parameters, but we'll keep a couple hard coded in here for now. All right, the only other thing we need to do as we tidy up these scripts is all of these URLs in these functions so far, home, base page, are hard coded, and we want to use TestComplete's name map functionality rather than have those hard coded values. So in the name map we would add an object, and I want to add this page object, so drag that over the page, try and get this whole page. Come on, give me the whole page. There we go. And we'll map that object, sys browser page, and then we'll wildcard some of that if we do this. So browser, I'm going to tweak this as we go. So TestComplete is mapping one of two objects, mapping the browser, and I only want it to map based on the browser property, and then the second one underneath that is the page web orders. And why I'm doing this is because I don't want these pages to be hard coded. I want it always to work with web orders. If we edit this URL, so we'll just wildcard that at the end so that it always works regardless of which page we're on. We're having a generic web orders page, and the reason this is useful is because later on, as you see as we build out this, you may have different environments, and you maybe this is reference to the test environment, or it might reference the dev environment or the UAT environment, and then we can wildcard this and it'll make sure the scripts will work whichever environment that we're running on. Okay, so we'll create that, click OK, and then click OK on that, and we'll see we've mapped this object. So this is just a reference to an object we want to interact with, and we've now wildcarded some of that, and we can use this so that our test scripts, when they want to interact with any object on the page, will work regardless of the browser, because we haven't been explicit in saying Chrome, Edge or Firefox. It's just a browser, and we haven't been explicit about which page we're on, so we just know that we want to be on the Smart Bear Samples website. All right, and then we can come back into our pages, and we want to update these so they're not hard coded, and we reference the aliases browser web pages orders. Okay, and we do that on all of these, and from here on in, because we've mapped this object, TestComplete will pick this up automatically. All right, I think that was it for now. Okay, so now they're all referencing objects for the page using the name map. There's a dedicated video on the name map and how useful that is and how to get the most out of it in one of the follow-up videos that we're going to create for this series of keyword test framework construction. Okay, so that's step 8, record and edit each keyword function. Really now it's down to you to go through and create functions for, entering the payment info, entering the product info, and creating the nav function for navigating to that orders page as well.